Now, after proving identity, verify identity, we will have a concept called solving equation, solving trigonometry equation. Okay, so let's look at the equation. What we're actually finding for solving equations. So, for example, we know that side of if from the unit circle, right? We know pi over 6. Let's say pi over 6. Okay, let's take a look at pi over 6. I know sine pi over 6 is 1/2. Cosine pi over 6 is √3 over 2, right? So we have sine pi over 6 is 1/2. So let's say if I have an equation sine of x equal 1/2, and I want to find x. What did that mean? Oh, that means I want to find an angle that when when I take sine of that angle, I get 1/2. And what did that angle equal? That angle is equal pi over 6. And is that the only angle that will give you sine is equal 1/2? Let's go back to the unit circle. So on the pi over 6, I have the y value is 1/2, right? And is there another coordinate or another angle that have the y value is 1/2? Yes, it's right here. Okay, so on the unit circle between 0 and 2 pi, it does have two angle. Give me the y value is 1/2, which that angle is pi over 6 and pi over 6. So I cannot just say my answer, my solution would be pi over 6. I also have to mention about 5 pi over 6. So it means when you solve an equation, you're finding all the angle that makes the equation to be true, because sine 5 over 6 is sine 5 pi over 6 is also 1/2. Okay, so this is what we want to solve for. It means solving trigonometry equation it's just same as finding the angle that give you the finding the angle to make the equation true. So let's take a look at the first one. I have 2 sine x equal minus 1 equals 0. In order to do this, we want my trigonometry to stand by itself. So we will have sine x. We're going to add 1 on both sides. And we will have 2 sine x equal 1. Divide 2 on both sides. We will have sine x equal 1/2. So when you see an equation, try to isolate the trigonometry function first. Once you get the trigonometry function by itself, and you will start asking yourself, oh, what value of x will give you the sine function is 1/2. So this is on the unit circle. We just talk about it. X is actually equal pi over 6 or 5 pi over 6. That's all we have to do. So let's take a look at another one. Let's say I have cosine x minus 1/3 equals 0. So let's say this. If I have cosine x minus 1/3 equals 0, then yes, we're going to isolate for cosine x equal 1/3. All right, so cosine x is equal 1/3. Then we have to ask ourselves, what angle when we take cosine will give you 1/3? But 1/3 is not the value that on the unit circle. On your unit circle, you only have 1/2, √3 over 2, 0 or 1, or √2 over 2. These are all the value that appears on the unit circle. How about, but 1/3 is not on there. Okay, so then how do we find the angle? How do we know that which angle will give you the cosine is 1/3? And at this time, if the value is not on the unit circle, we will have to take inverse and use the calculator to find that. Okay, so x will be the cosine inverse of 1/3, because inverse trigonometry is an angle. Okay, so we're gonna take the inverse. So inverse of 1/3 is 70. So my answer is my calculator in degree mode. So whatever I get right now is actually in degree. So we can answer x is equal 70.53 degree. Okay, so you need another angle that also give you the same thing. So how do I find another angle to get you the same thing? We're gonna simply, so if you go back to the unit circle, so for the cosine, the x value that have the same answer of √3/2 is when you have the in quadrant 4. So cosine is positive in the first angle and fourth angle. So to find the second angle of the cosine, we will have to minus this by from 360 degree. Okay, so the second angle or x equal 360 minus 7.53 degree. And that will be 360 minus 70.53, which is 289.47 degree. And we can double check, cosine of 289.47 degree is about 0.33333, which is 1/3, 0.33333. Okay, the only thing that why is a little bit rounding error because we actually round the angle right here. Okay, if you don't round the angle and you do 360 minus cosine inverse of 1/3, you got whatever the angle and you take the cosine of this, you will got 0.33333. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is to find the second angle of the cosine, we minus that from 360 or 2 pi. Similarly, if for the sine equation, if the sine equation give you, have the value is also same as cosine, that is not on the unit circle, to find the second angle, you're gonna just subtract the first angle from pi or 180. You will get the second angle. Okay, so now let's take a look at the second one. So 2 cosine x times sine x equals sine x. How would we solve this equation? We want sine x and cosine x stand by itself, right? When you when you isolate equation, you may want to think of factor. Okay, so how do we factor? We're gonna bring the equation, one expression to the other side. So we will have 2 cosine x times sine x minus sine x equal to 0. And now we're gonna start factoring. So I see that there's a sine on both terms. So I'm gonna take out the signs or factor out the sine. When I take out the sine, I only left with 2 cosine, 2 cosine x. And on here, when I factor out the sine, I only have 1. Okay, so equal to 0. So this will give you what? This will give you sine x equals 0 or 2 cosine minus 1 equals 0. So x is equal what? Or what value, what angle of x is actually equal to 0? This 0 is actually on the unit circle. So go back to the unit circle. Y is equal to 0 on here and here. So it looks like it's going to be 0 and pi. 0 and pi. If you are not want to look at the unit circle, you can use calculator and do sine inverse of 0 will give you 0. And the second angle of sine is subtract from pi. Pi minus 0 will give you pi. Okay, so how about cosine x equal 1/2? Then x gonna be, or what angle will give you cosine is 1/2. Let's go back here. Cosine is x. So the coordinate, x coordinate is 1/2 on this angle. So pi over 3. And what else? And 5 pi over 3. Okay, so pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Okay, so that's gonna be the answer in radian. If you want the answer in degree, you can just convert that to degree. I think the question want you to leave your answer in the radian. So I'm gonna go back to the problem in the middle and make that in radian. If you want to leave your answer in radian, no problem. It's you just need to change your calculator back to the radian mode. And you do cosine inverse 1/3. Okay, so again, to type the cosine inverse, you do second and the cosine, press the cosine button, you will have the cosine inverse. So cosine inverse of 1/3 is 1.23. So in radian, x will be 1.23. So how about the second angle? The second angle, we subtract that from 2 pi. So 2 pi minus 1.23, which is 2 pi minus 1.23, we have 5.05 radian. Okay, so this is the answer in degree, the one on the left, and this is the answer in radian. Okay, so depend on the problem. If the problem want you in degree, then you leave it in degree. If the problem want you in radian, then you leave it in radian. But make sure you don't forget the second angle within the 0 and 2 pi. Okay.